All right, tell me when you guys can see that screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Excellent. All right, I'm trying to give Brother Samba a chance to get on, but I'm gonna give him a call real quick, and if he is having some issues, we're gonna continue without him. Yeah, hi, Brother Samba. Are you coming on? You're in? Click on the link to join the meeting. Yeah, you should have. I sent you an email. Was it last night and again today? This afternoon. Just a reminder. It's all got. They both got the link to it. It'll say like link to your Zoom. Yep. It says join. Mhm. Okay, there you go. All right, bye. All right, there he is, Regina.
Okay.
All right, excellent, excellent. So now everyone is here. So I'm gonna try to keep this to end at 3 because I know we all have stuff to do. So we'll do it every Saturday at 2 o'clock. If everybody is good, this is normally a full day's course. Like literally, when I did this course, it's like an 8-hour day course. So we're gonna have several sessions over the next um over the next several weeks to get it all in. All right.
Now,
Is
Andy,
everybody okay?
excuse me for interrupting, Andy. I just so happen to be off today.
You just did what?
I just so happen to be off today. I'm normally not off on Saturdays.
Okay. Okay. Got you. Got you. Okay. Not a
So
problem.
I get off at I probably get home about 3:30 on Saturdays.
Okay. Not a problem. That's
So
fine.
Andy,
Yeah.
I am. If she's home at 3:30, I can do it at 3:30 on Saturday because I start late on Saturdays. That's fine for me.
Okay. So you know what I'll do after today? The rest of the sessions I'll do with you guys individually according to your schedule.
okay.
All right. Just for you guys, just because I want to get you through it so we can be, ahead of the game. And yeah, I'll do it for you guys. That's not a problem. Anybody else, I'll do it in the classroom setting, but that's fine. So today we'll just do it together, and then after that, I'll schedule independently with you guys. All right.
Okay.
All right. So I won't keep you too long today. We'll try to end at 3. What I will ask, does everyone have a pen and paper?
Yes.
Okay, so
Let me check. I
all the
think I do.
questions that you have, just so we can get through as much as possible, all the questions you have, write them down, and I'm gonna end like 10 minutes to 3, and then we can ask and answer all the questions, all right?
Okay.
Okay, excellent. So I'm gonna start. So this class is called Your Home Ownership. And in this class, we're gonna go over all the aspects of home ownership. If you guys want to say something in between, like if it's something you really have to say, just, are you familiar with how to use the hands button? If I'm not able to hear you, I can see your hands go up, and I'll be able to tell that you want to say something. The hands button is located, just to get you guys familiar. If you hit the more button at the far right, it says more. You'll see where it says recognize hand gestures, and it has the hands, whether it's waving or just up. Either one of those will do, and I'll know that you want to say something, and I'll stop. Okay?
You say extreme right?
Yeah, it's on the far right side on your control button, and it says more. And when you click on more, it shows you the hands button. It says hand gestures.
Okay, I don't see it here, but that's fine. Let's go anyway. I'm gonna check it later.
All right. So let me get started. Now I'm going to try to make this course as customized as possible. So it's actually good that after this first meeting that we meet individually. So that way I can focus on each of your unique situations and everybody can feel comfortable in speaking. So this is actually good. This first one is just to review a little bit of what we've already gone through, because I had an initial meeting with both of you. And then after that, we're going to go into a little bit more details of some things that we didn't cover. All right. So
Okay.
go ahead and get started on that. All right. So you guys are considered pre-home buyers. Right? That means that we are getting you ready to purchase your first home. So in this course, we're going to explain the advantages and the disadvantages of renting versus owning a home. I don't want to move that fast, so I'm sorry. Hold on. We're also going to identify questions to ask to determine if you are actually ready and when you're ready to buy your home. We're going to identify steps required to buy the home and identify basic terms requiring disclosures and all those legalities that take place in a mortgage transaction. We're going to talk about the various types of mortgage options. We've talked about FHA, VA, conventional, but there's some others out there, USDA and so forth. We're going to describe how interest rates affect the amount of house that you can buy. We're also going to explain how taxes and insurance affect your monthly payments and the amount of house that it equals to. And what that basically means is when you hear the term amount of house you can buy, what they mean by that is your monthly payment determines technically how much house you can afford. And your monthly payment is driven up or down by your interest rate. Your interest rate is driven up or down by your credit score. And everything is driven up and down by your down payment. So it all goes together. When we put it all together, the down payment, your credit score, your interest rate, all that comes together to equal your monthly payments. All right, we're not going to talk about borrowing against a home because we're not there yet. You would only be borrowing against a home if you already own a home and you were looking to either take out money out of your equity or you were looking to use the sale of that home to purchase your new home. So that's the only reason we would discuss that. So we're not going to discuss that in this section. We will talk about what to do if you're having trouble making payments. That's part of our course coverage because I want to make sure you guys are aware that there's help out there for you if you ever get caught a month late or something of that nature. Before it gets critical, there's help out there, and I want to make sure you guys know that and know where to reach for it. The different types of refinancing option. again, we're not going to talk about that too much. We might touch on it, but that's only once you've owned a home and you're looking to either buy a new one, buy an investment property, or something of that nature where you've already owned the home.
Mhm.
We're definitely not going to talk at all about a reverse mortgage. I would actually just caution to stay away from reverse mortgages and tell anyone you know, unless it's a dire emergency, to stay away from them. They're very easy to get into, but they're very difficult to get out of. And ultimately, you don't have control of your property anymore. So I would advise anyone to stay away from those reverse mortgage situations. Predatory lending. We're going to talk about that, and loan scams. We'll talk about that. But again, that's if you own a home and you're looking to refinance and so forth. You won't get caught up in a predatory lending situation on a first-time mortgage because you're only going to deal with a primary lender during a first-time mortgage. You won't be dealing with third parties and other parties that's going to sell your loans. You will only be dealing with primary lenders during your primary mortgage. So we don't have to worry about that in this section. All right. So normally in this section, I would do a part where I would ask you guys what you know, what is it that you already know about buying a home. But I've been talking to both of you, and I know kind of where your backgrounds are on buying your home. So I'm going to go ahead and just move through till I get to a part where I think we need to spend some time. However, if there's a topic that you think I'm moving through and I'm assuming that you know it, but you want some clarity on it, please stop me. I'm willing to stop. And if you can't get to your hand signal in time, you can just say it on the screen. You can say, you can verbalize it and I'll explain. You can just say, Andy, can you explain that a little more? Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All right. So when you're renting an apartment, there's certain advantages that you have that you don't have when you're buying a home. The first advantage to renting is that there's no maintenance. You call your landlord, you call your property management company, and they take care of it. You're only obligated to pay the rent for as long as your contract is for the rent, your lease. There's no homeowners association costs. And in most cases, there's no maintenance work, no lawn service and things like that. Sometimes if you're renting an actual home, the homeowner might put it in the contract that you have to do the maintenance and the yard work and so forth. But if you're renting an apartment, there's none of that. The disadvantage is that you're not an owner. The rent might increase and they might decide not to renew your rental lease. But there's more advantages than that. The other advantages of being a homeowner, and the biggest advantage, this is what everybody is looking for when they buy a home. They're looking to build equity for the future opportunity to borrow against that home. That essentially means when you buy a home, you are you're making yourself into your own bank. The more money you put into your home in terms of paying off the mortgage, the more money is in your equity, the more money is in your personal bank. That means at some point you can turn around and borrow money from your home and not have to worry about going to a bank, and in some cases don't even have to worry about repaying that loan. All right. So that's the biggest advantage of home ownership. The other one is it falls right in line with what we said, which is the investment opportunity, right? So a home is your biggest investment. That will always be the number one investment in a person's life, unless they're buying a business. If you're buying a business, that can also uh, become very pricey and become the next highest expense in your life. But usually your home is going to be your number one biggest investment that you make. The other thing is the tax deductible benefits. When you buy a home, it comes with quite a few benefits that you were not able to write off before. When you rent, the person that owns that property that you rent from, that's who gets to write off those tax benefits. When you own, you get back those benefits. The other big aspect of home ownership is that it is an asset that you could pass down to your children, your children's children. You can create a wealth legacy for your family where you could put it in a trust where it does not get sold, but it stays in the family for the benefit of the family, and you can name how it's used. So that's one of the wealth building advantages. The disadvantage of owning a home is, of course, all the things we were talking about, which is the property maintenance. In this course, what we're going to do is we are going to be building out a budget. It won't be today. Maybe the next one will be, in fact, it probably will be the next one because both of you have your budget sheets already. So when we do our next one-on-one meeting, we are going to go through and fill in that budget sheet. What I'd like for you to do in the meantime is to try to fill in as much of that budget sheet on your own as possible. Before we have our meeting, try to send me a copy, whether it's you take a picture and send it or you email it. However you do it is fine with me. So we can then review it and add some things to it that you may not have thought about. So definitely take the time to put your budget sheet together. All right, so the other thing is when you move into an apartment, you normally move with furniture. When you move into a house, it's a bit different because you're going to find that you have more spaces to fill. So there's and most people, when they move into a new home, they usually want all new furniture. That seems to go hand in hand with moving into a new home, and I get it, and that's fine, but you have to build that into your budget when we talk about our budget, right? So the other disadvantage is where there's always the risk of them not renewing your lease. There's also the risk of you running into a snag that keeps you from making your payment, and then you risk losing your home. Now, in certain states, we're going to go over the laws about how you own your home. In Georgia, for instance, when you own a home, I want you guys to write down this term. This term is called security deed. Security deed, D-E-E-D. When you buy a home in Georgia, you get a deed called a security deed. What that means is that you bought the house, but you are not the owner yet because you have not paid it off yet. So in Georgia, the lender gets to keep the deed as security against your loan. So you get what's called a security deed, showing everyone that this is the lender that lent you this money and who owns that property. You still own it in all respects, but the difference is if you default on your loan in Georgia, they give you your 30, 60, 90-day warning. But unlike in other states where they have to take you to court, and then the court has to rule in their favor and give you X amount of days to vacate, Georgia does not do that. The fact that you have a security deed gives Georgia the ability to come in and give you the amount of days legal by law, but then after that, they just show up at your door with the sheriff and move you out. That's the difference in Georgia versus other states. And there are several states that have security deed, and everyone that's buying in a different state, we're gonna let you know what type of deed exists in your state. It's important to know that because it gives you a timeline that you can operate by, and you will know when you're approaching certain danger deadlines. It's very important that you keep that in mind when you buy. All right, let's move to the next one. So the steps for being ready to buy your home. We all talked about these before. All right. So everything we talked about, which was your income, right? So I want you guys to on your budget sheet and on that I sent you guys, the Excel sheet, it asks you for your salaries and so forth. I want you to fill that in on your sheets. All right. Now, when you fill it in, you're filling it in before taxes, not after taxes. These are pre-tax income. All right. I also want you to consider if you receive any kind of child support, any kind of income from that's steadily coming from any kind of organization, any kind of investment. I want you to consider if you have a whole life insurance policy. And I'm stating whole life with that's a policy with a cash value attached to it. That means you can go in and borrow against that policy to open up a business, to buy a home, to take care of any emergencies, to make an investment in a business. You can take money off of those policies. And the fact that you've accrued that money in the policy, in most cases, you don't have to pay it back. They will just subtract it from the life payment when and if something were to happen to you. So all those things are considered income, and you have to put those down on your sheet. Okay. Then underneath your income, I want you to put down all of your liabilities, all the things you're spending on. That's going to be every single thing that you spend on regularly within the course of a month. So of course there's rent, there's electricity, there's food, there's car notes, there's car insurance, there's gas, there's going out to the movies, however often you like to do that, just to relax and unwind. Going out to have a, if you're a wine drinker and you spend X amount on wine and you like it a month, and whatever it is that you do, you need to put it on there, because we have to now scale away at it, because the ultimate goal for us is determining where we could tighten our belts and how much we can save together while tightening that belt.
Excuse me, Andy.
Yes.
How can we have an effective budget if we are doing the pre-tax amount before taxes? Because we don't see all the money. So how does that?
Oh, that's correct. You don't, but when you're buying a home, they want to know the pre-tax value, because as a homeowner, your tax bracket changes when you go to buy your home. You are no longer going to be taxed the way you're normally taxed. So everything comes from that pre-tax. And then when they do the income verification, that's when they're going to ask you for your stubs and everything, and they're going to break down the taxes from there. But the initial question that they want to know is your pre-tax income, because if you gave them your taxable income, then you're automatically reducing your yearly income to them.
I mean, I'm referring to when we do our actual budget personally.
Yeah, for our worksheet purposes, I still need to know your gross income, because when they say, what's your yearly income, I don't want to give them your taxable income, because it's going to be like 28% reduced from what your actual income is. You follow what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean, I follow exactly what you're saying, and
we're going to put that in the column. But when we do your budget, it's gonna take out the taxes out of your budget. It's not gonna use your whole number, but we start off with the whole number just so we know what your yearly income is.
Okay, that's what I was desiring to get to.
Yeah, no, don't worry. You're gonna see where it breaks down once we start doing the budget. You're gonna see where that comes into play. But I definitely understand your concern about putting your gross up when you know that your net is what you're going to be operating off of. We definitely know that, and it's taken into
Correct.
consideration. Yeah.
Correct.
All right. So now, which mortgage option is best for you? We're going to compare the various mortgages. We are going to go through the pre-qualification process for a loan. And we're going to go through the paperwork settlement process for the loan. So we're going to do the whole nine, not today. I'm going to keep saying that, but over the course of the next several weeks, we're going to go through. And I'm also going to be bringing on some special guests. And when I do the special guests, I more than likely will do that in a group setting. So that way the guests don't have to come back more than once or twice. And those guests will be, I will be actually bringing through a bank loan officer to speak to you guys, a mortgage lender. So that way you know how they think, you know what they're looking for, you know how their timelines are. I want you to hear that from the horse's mouth. I'm gonna bring in a inspector or appraiser so they can tell you how they look for value in a home, and the inspector can tell you how they do their inspection, and then they can tell you the difference between the two and why they're both needed. So remember, an inspection is not required by your lender, right? But it is, to me, the most important thing that the buyer can do, because the inspection is going to go through every nook and cranny of that house. He's going to go through your electrical wires, your plumbing lines, your roof, your chimney, if there's a chimney. He's going to check behind your walls, all those things, and give you a full report. That report is going to then tell you, before you buy this house, I would ask to have these things repaired, fixed, replaced, or it might say to us, let's not buy this house at all because it's just, you know, too volatile of an investment. So you need to know that as a buyer before you sign the dotted line to actually own that house. The only drawback to the inspection is that if you decide not to buy the house, you've essentially given that money up because it's a non-refundable process. The inspector has done his job, giving you the report you need to make the sound decision you need to make. So once they've done their job and get paid, that money is gone. How much does an inspection cost? Of course, it depends on the size of the house and so forth, but usually anywhere from $250 to $500. So that's something we got to put in our budget at least once to say we're willing to give that away once, and then put another one for the one that we actually buy. So you might want to say $1,000 built in for the home inspection process. That is hopefully money that we can recycle back into a different part of your budget after we do the inspection, get it for way less, and not have to do it again on another home because it passed inspection and you're happy with the results. All right. So this is an example of a client named Patricia. Patricia is a medical technologist. She makes $49,000 a year, which is $4,100 a month. She's currently living with her parents, so it's allowing her to save money and all that great stuff to be able to make a purchase. She wants to know more about home ownership. So let's take a look at Patricia's journey. First thing we would want to know from Patricia is, does she have a steady source of income? Does she have a verifiable source of income? And that's the key word, verifiable. Verifiable means you have a W-2, a 1099, or a certified job letter, something certified from your job on a job letterhead from your employer stating when you started working there, how long you've been working there, and how much you're making on a gross basis. And the fact that you're full-time and they anticipate that your employment will continue indefinitely, because that would cover all the points that your lender wants to know. How much you're making, how long you've been working, are you a reliable employee that they're going to keep on? And that letter would answer all of that. Eventually, they're going to want to see proof of you're getting paid from this company. They're going to want to see either direct deposits going into your bank account on a regular basis up to 3 months. They're going to want to see any checks that they've given you, 1099s you received, any of those payment forms that's verifiable, they're going to want to see during the pre-qualification process. The next thing, besides a good steady source of income, they're going to want to know that you have a good credit history. The good credit history starts with your credit score. They want to see a credit score of 650 or better. That's what they want to see, but it's also where you start to get the lowest interest rates for your loan. So 650 and up is great. 650 and below, they can still work with, but know that your interest rates are going to be quite a bit higher. Okay. You guys hear me talk about your debt to income ratio, DTI. Your debt to income ratio is what tells the bank how much you can afford to pay back monthly when you've gotten your loan. So your debt to income ratio is what they're looking for to make the determination of whether or not you can afford this home. So in your budget, initially we started off with everything that was an asset to you, income. They're going to add all that up. Then they want to know everything that you're spending. You've got to list every dime that you're spending monthly, every subscription that you pay on automatically. They want to know all those things. So you have to list everything. They're going to subtract your income from your liabilities, from your expenses. Once they do that, they're going to divide it by the house notes, and they're going to get a ratio to your debt to income. And it's going to tell them based on the percentage. Once you do your debt to income ratio, your percentage is supposed to be between 30 and 40%, no more than 40%, meaning your debts should be 40% or less of your income. They prefer if it was 30% or less. But with 40%, you could still qualify for a FHA, but it will cost you more because your interest will be more. All right, now, so that's your debt to income ratio. If we're going to skip the part about plans to move within 2 to 3 years, we're going to skip that because the home, we're looking for not investment property, we're looking for your home that you're going to keep for a while. We are going to talk about money for down payment and closing costs. I want you guys to write this down. In your area, there's Wells Fargo. If you have a Wells Fargo in your area, and I know both of you do because I already checked, Wells Fargo has a $10,000 first-time homeowners grant that's available to you. But of course, there are guidelines and income stipulations, which I think both of you will fit into. So as we go along, we're going to narrow down the banks that we're going to be going with, and based on which bank is going to do the most for you, who's going to give you the most support, the most assistance in this home buying process. So right now, I want to identify Wells Fargo and their first time home buyers program that offers $10,000 to home buyers. If you guys get an opportunity, go to wellsfargo.com. You'll see it on there, and then we can start researching it. If you get information before I do, forward it. Let's incorporate it into our next session. But I just want to give you that little heads up so you can start identifying some banks that's going to be a part of your process in the future. The other great places to look are credit unions. If you are a part of a credit union, that is great. That is usually going to be your best rate on a mortgage loan, and they may more than likely have a home buyer's down payment assistance program. So if you are a part of a credit union, we will also explore that credit union option when it comes to down payment assistance and closing and mortgage lending. So let's talk about down payments. All right, so in the down payment process, it's customary that we talk about conventional loans first. Conventional loans are where you put down 20% or more of the home purchase price. That means if your home is $100,000 asking price, you are prepared to put down $20,000 as your down payment on the home. Conversely, if your home is $300,000, that means you're prepared to put down $60,000 on your home down payment. Usually, that is not possible for many individuals seeking to buy their first home. That's why the FHA loan was created. The FHA loan was created for anyone who would like to and can afford a home, but cannot afford the 20% down payment. This loan allows you to put down anywhere from 3% on up. And then with that, they do add on certain securities that we're going to go over. Those securities, however, increase your monthly payments and increases your overall price that you pay for the home, because those securities are not for you, they're for the lender, because the lender is taking a higher risk on you not being able to put down 20% than they would normally be taking on the person that is able to put down 20%. So because you're considered a higher risk, they charge you more to secure the loan. That security rides with the loan up until you've made 20% of a dent in your mortgage payment. So to give you an example, if your home was 100,000, 20% was 20,000, you could only put down 10,000. You still would have to get an FHA loan until you've paid another 10,000 into your home loan amount. And that's the principal amount. Because remember, if you're paying your mortgage every month and you're only paying the exact amount of your mortgage, in the beginning, the majority of your payments are going to the interest only. So a very small portion will go to your principal amount in the beginning. So if you want to make a dent in your principal amount, especially in the beginning of your loan, you want to make an extra payment and let them know this is going towards my principal. So the faster you bring that principal down to 20%, then it would drop off all those security instruments like the PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. That's the biggest one that they add on. So once you get to that 20%, the PMI drops off and you immediately start saving on your mortgage again.
Andy, let me make sure I
Yes.
understand you correctly.
Yes.
So if I got a FHA and I paid the 3%, I still would have to do the PMI.
Absolutely. If you only do 3%, if you do 15%, 19%, right up until you hit that 20% line, you have to pay PMI.
So that comes off after I hit a 20% towards the purchase price?
That's correct.
But the conventional loan is the general 20% of the property, the purchase price, and no PMI is required. So the FHA is when the PMI comes in because the mortgage company has to trust that this is I'm a high risk pretty much.
Yes.
And so
Under
okay.
20%, you're high risk. When you hit that 20% and over, you're considered conventional, and all those risk instruments drop off. The mortgage company tracks that and keeps track of it right up until that point.
Amen. Okay. That makes sense. I guess that's probably my biggest concern when it comes down to purchasing a home is the down payment.
I'm sorry, say your biggest concern is what?
I guess that's my biggest concern concerning purchasing a home is the down payment.
Oh yeah. That's always the big concern. And I promise you, we're gonna spend a lot of time on the down payment, because that's where we're gonna now show you the various ways to actually get that down payment and have it be cheaper than the PMI. You follow me? There's ways that, let's say you needed that 60,000 and everything else is in place. You can afford everything else, but the PMI on that is going to cost you, let's say, an additional 8% on your mortgage, right? If we could get that 60,000 at 5% interest or 4% interest, it's half the interest rate that you'd be paying for the PMI going forward. So technically, it would save you money to take out what's called a bridge loan, pay that 60,000, and then save the money on your mortgage, and then pay back a small monthly separately for that 60,000 separately. So that's just another way to juggle the down payment. But we're going to go through so many options. There's even nonprofit organizations that will come up with the down payment for you if you fit into certain criteria that we can definitely check and either try to make sure you fit into or fit you into.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to explore quite a bit when we get on that down payment part. We're going to look at not just the bank programs, we're going to look at the nonprofit programs, but there's also a thing called owner financing. There's houses out there where the owner will say, okay, you know what? That 20%, you pay that to me directly, separately from everything else, and I will be the bank, and I won't charge you no interest. You just pay me monthly this amount, and there won't ever be any interest. When you get to that amount, I sign
I've heard of that.
Yeah, there's all these options out there, and all of them are available to you. All right.
Well, and I know you're going to cover a lot, but really briefly, what is your opinion about modular homes?
Say that one more time.
Really swiftly, if you could give me your opinion on modular homes.
Okay. Now, did you guys see the email that I sent you with the course curriculum, which is this right here? It's attached to the email that you got today. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you're going to see the whole course curriculum I sent you.
Okay.
All right. This is what we're going to be following, and I'm just going to be explaining it in details. So that way nobody will get lost, and we all know where we are when we come to our classes.
Okay.
All right. And let's see. So we got 8 more minutes to go. Why don't we open up for any questions right here? Do we Samba, you got any questions yet?
No, I'm okay because almost everything I hearing right now. You told me about it
Right, we are
the
going
first time.
excellent, excellent. Okay, how about you, Regina? You good so far?
I am. We have, we talked and I have a game, we have a game plan.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So then let me go through one more page, and then I think we'll go ahead and start the wind down conversation for this one. Okay, so this is a great place to leave off. Excellent. So now this is what we were just talking about. The end result of this process is to get the best mortgage payment for you that we possibly can. That is the end result that we want in this process. So your mortgage includes the principal. So I want us to take this example, put down 100,000 and put principal next to it. Then put interest. And then next to interest, put 7%. All right. Now, next to that, or underneath that, put down payment, 10,000, and in parentheses, put 10%. And that down payment should have actually went right under the principal, but that's fine. So the down payment is 10,000, which is 10%. Property tax. Let's put 3%. And homeowners insurance. Let's put 1%. Okay, so this is where and what your mortgage monthly payments will include. So now, the fact that your principal was 100,000 and you put a down payment of 10,000. I want another line underneath all of that that says my loan amount. So where it says your loan amount, you're now going to put equal 90,000. But underneath that, you're going to put plus, plus, plus. 3 plus signs underneath that 90,000. What do you guys think those plus signs are?
In addition to,
Those plus signs are your PMI, your property tax,
and the insurance,
your homeowner's insurance. All those things get rolled up into your mortgage. Okay. Now,
yes.
Whatever that amount totals, when we do the math, our goal is to keep it at 30% or less.
When you say 30%,
you see, we're here on the bottom line, it says should be no more than 28% of your income.
Oh, as far as what I bring home annually.
Yes, all those things.
Okay.
The bank wants to make sure that they don't equal more than 30% of your income, because in the eyes of the bank, you need 30% to pay your mortgage, you need 30% to pay your bills, and then you need 30% to live, or really 40% to live. In entertainment, they give you that extra 10%. So 30, 60, 90 for bills, for your mortgage, and to live. And then 10% you allot for entertainment. But out of that to live portion, they want to see at least 15 to 20% of that go towards savings. So add savings underneath that. Because guess why they want to see that you're saving? Because they want to know that at the end of it all, if there's an emergency, you are putting away something for emergencies that they can count on if you get stuck.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where that extra percentage comes from. They want 30% to equal your mortgage, 30% to equal your debts, and then the other 40% is to live and save.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna do a little preview. We're not gonna go into it now, but I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna cover in the next section when we meet individually.
Okay.
We're gonna cover where do you want to live, which we already talked about, but this is the one-on-one conversation. How much space do you need? Children and grandchildren, are they involved? Are we making space for them? These are your personal wants and needs. I would like to know at that point, what is it that you must have? Create a column called must-haves, right? In your must-haves, these are the things that you must have in your house, around your house, close to your house. If it's a religious place that you need, we need to know that. If you're particularly concerned about a hospital and particular health care, we need to know that. If you have grandchildren and you want to make sure that there's no lakes or open bodies of water on your property, that's very important. So now I want you guys to get selfish about your wants and your needs and your family's wants and your family's needs in this property, because that is a part of us determining how much home you can afford. We start from the needs and wants and then go outwards to those things that you would just like to have. So the needs are first, and then the wants are the last on the menu, because the wants we don't absolutely need. All right, so can I get that from you guys as homework?
Okay.
Wants and needs.
Wants and needs are in your home.
Okay, let me write it down. You want to whatever we need.
I'm gonna tell you, one of my clients, right off the top, she told me, I do not want a split level house. She said,
There you go.
My knees are already bothering me, and I could only see it getting worse as I go older, and I don't want to go up and down stairs. It doesn't get any clearer than that. All right.
I'm gonna need the same.
Huh?
I say I gonna need the same. I don't need something to go up because my knees are hurting too.
Yeah. Those are the things that we need to know, because we want to make sure that what you get is what you absolutely need, and then it's what you want.
So we gotta use a separate paper, not to put it on the budget sheet, right? We put it on a separate paper.
You can literally just type that up to me on a separate piece of paper and email it so I can save it to your files. I would rather it's sent on a Word doc or something so I can physically save that page. I'm creating files for you guys so I know exactly what each of you individually are looking for and where we are in progress as we go along. So anything that you send me, I'd like for it to be in a fileable format.
Okay.
All right, so that's your wants and needs for the next homework. And then I would like for you to do this part, which is read the scenario, give me some answers to the questions, and then just be prepared to answer the question. So for instance, the question is, for programs in your area, check with your lender, real estate agent, local government about home buyers assistance programs. Remember we talked about the start with Wells Fargo, right? And then there's HUD, okay, urban development. They got a whole lot of programs. Okay, these include the down payment requirements, and that's where I want you to stop. Don't worry about underwriting. Don't worry about no long terms. and homeowner education requirements. Don't worry about any of those. That's what you're doing now is the homeowner's education requirement. We'll be able to get you the certificate at the end of this to coincide with any lender.
Okay.
Okay? So that's where your
Mhm.
homework stops, right here on page 17.
Okay.
And literally all I want you to do is to just go find one lender. You can use Wells Fargo if you want, but I've already researched them. So you might want to pick one other lender that's doing a down payment assistance program in your area. So for you, Brother Samba, it's in Harrisburg, and for you, Regina, it's Atlanta. You're gonna have all the choices in the world, Regina. Brother Samba, I did run into some challenges up your way, but Wells Fargo and the big banks are up there, so you should be fine as well.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna end right here, ladies and gentlemen. It's 3 o'clock, and I know, Brother Samba, you gotta run.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like for you guys to do is to think about your next schedule, your next free day. Text me the day and time when you'd like to schedule your next workshop. So that means that before that day, you'll send me your wants and needs, and you'll have the research on the down payment assistance in your area ready to be discussed in the class.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, for me,
Yes.
you gotta be in Harrisburg, right?
Yes. For you, it's in Harrisburg.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, this was most enjoyable. Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Yes,
And
sir. Thank you.
I look forward to meeting with each of you individually, and we're gonna make this a speedy process to go through the paperwork, but we're not gonna speed through finding you the right home. That's gonna be a process, and I want you guys to take your time and make sure you find the right home. So unless it's an emergency, unless you need it right now, then if so, let us know our timeline that we're working with. Other than that, we're not gonna rush you, but we're gonna help you to make a firm and good, solid decision. All right?
All right, thanks.
All right. Have a great day, everybody, and we
You
will be
too.
talking real soon.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you very
Thanks,
much.
Andy.
Okay,
It's my
bye.
pleasure, guys. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All right.